Akashvani, Mangaluru presents Voices from Bookshelf in the collaboration with Bookaholics Mangaluru. Dear listeners, welcome to today's episode of Voices from the Bookshelf. Let us lend our ears to Anup, who will speak about the book Foundation series by Isaac Asimov in the genre of science fiction.
Hello and welcome everyone. Before I begin, I have an invitation to put forth in front of you all. I want to invite you to step away from the noise of everyday life, lower down all your baggage of chores, wear a set of comfortable clothes, lie down on your back and stare into that night sky, into that vast, breathtaking canvas we all call outer space. Now, outer space is a fascinating magician with countless tricks up its sleeves. It dazzles us with wonders, like a nebulae glowing like stained glass, black holes warping time itself. It never quite reveals how it does what it does. In that way, it is like a mischievous cat. I'm sure you will all agree with me on this point. But universe is also like the host of a game show. It leaves clues, some in plain sight, others deeply hidden. And it's up to us to find them. And just when we think we have figured it out, the universe reveals something even stranger. Now, as a child, I was enchanted by this mystery. The stars weren't just dots of light to me. They were a question. And when I discovered reading, it came as no surprise that I was drawn to the one genre that seemed to truly embrace the unknown of the outer space. And that genre is science fiction. Now, any one of you who loves science fiction would certainly agree with me when I claim that science fiction is the best genre amongst all the existing genres. It tackles profound questions like, where did we come from? Where are we going? And what does it mean to be a human? It predicts and shapes the future. Much of today's technology was first imagined in science fiction, be it smartphones, be it virtual reality, be it cryptocurrency, space travel, artificial intelligence, have all been deeply explored in science fiction even before it became a reality. Science fiction doesn't just reflect the future, it influences it as well. Science fiction can also fuse beautifully with other genres with such efficiency that it would astound a supercomputer. Science fiction can be a political commentary, it can be a horror, it can be a mystery, it can be an epic adventure, and it can even be a romantic book. That brings me to a work of literature which changed the entire structure of science fiction. This book didn't just imagine flying cars or robot butlers. It asked a bold question. What if we could colonize the stars? What if civilizations rose and fell on a galactic scale? What if we could predict the future? Not just guess, but really predict the future. The book I am talking about is the Foundation series written by Isaac Asimov. Now, what is the Foundation about? The series is set in a far future where the space and the planets are colonies and it is governed by a vast galactic empire. The first Foundation book is a fix-up novel. What it does is it connects short stories and each of the short stories join up beautifully into one cohesive novel. In Foundation, we meet the legendary Harry Seldon, the founder of the Foundation and ultra-brilliant psycho-historian. He is able to predict the future of the galactic empire through mathematical algorithms combined with history, sociology, and goodness knows what else. Such prediction is necessarily based on aggregate behavioral trends of vast numbers of people. And by vast numbers, I mean billions of people. In the book, Seldon predicts the fall of the galactic empire, which would be inevitably followed up by dark ages. And he predicts that this dark ages would last for 30,000 years. And so Harry makes it his life's mission to reduce the span of the dark ages, which will inevitably follow. He claims, and in fact he believes, that he can reduce the duration of the dark ages to just 1,000 years, as opposed to the predicted 30,000 years. To this end, the Foundation is established on a remote planet called Terminus. What this Terminus does, it compiles a mega encyclopedia galactica, but in truth, it wants to save mankind as a whole from an extended period of dark ages. But is that the true goal of these scientists? Or are they guided by some other motivations? You will have to read to find out. But why is Foundation series hailed as the foundation of the space-based science fiction genre? It wasn't the first science fiction book, nor was it the first book to have an adventure story set in space. Why has it then remained relevant even today? Why is it that new readers of science fiction are recommended to start with the Foundation series? It is very common today to see science fiction stories with interstellar travels, faster than the speed of light transportation, stories about civilizations that span multiple planets, star systems, or even galaxies. And by back then, I mean in the 1940s, no one had seriously attempted to imagine an entire galactic empire. Isaac Asimov was the first one to do so. Now, he did not just imagine the birth and growth of a galactic empire. He also narrated the fall of one. And he did it with the precision of a scientist. The Foundation trilogy didn't just tell a story. It built a galaxy, a vast civilization of planets, politics, crises, and characters, all orbiting around one incredible idea: that the future might be predictable. Asimov wasn't just telling a story, he was inventing a genre. He asked, if humanity spreads across the galaxy, how would politics work? How would the modes of communication be? How would people move around from one place to another? How would knowledge be preserved? And what would happen when civilization itself started to crumble? Now, if you think about this deeply, you will realize that this wasn't a fantasy. This was not some grandmother's bedtime stories. This was logic. This was science. This was sociology. This was imagination. This was all of this idea working together cohesively. Because psychohistory is a brilliant concept. The idea of using mathematics and statistics to predict how a large group of people behave is ingenious. It is like statistical physics, but for people. It's not about predicting individual actions, but about forecasting how a large population behaves over time. Now, what made Foundation groundbreaking was its scale and seriousness. Asimov imagined an empire spanning the Milky Way with trillions of humans across millions of planets. And the Foundation series is not just about statistics and prediction. It is also a perfect example to show that science fiction novels can also have a fantastic storytelling as well. The first book tells the story of how the Foundation is formed and how it overcomes crisis after crisis, not through war, but through strategy and science. The narrative is structured around a series of crises, each one testing the Foundation's survival. These crises are not random, but they were predicted by Sheldon, who appears via recorded messages to confirm that events are unfolding exactly as planned. There is a deeper idea that the future isn't shaped by great heroes alone, but by systems, by ideas, by the power of knowledge. The second book is titled Foundation and Empire. It picks up years later and it takes a darker turn. Foundation has become powerful, but it is no longer invincible. Enter the Mule. The Mule is a mutant with the ability to manipulate emotions. He is a complete anomaly, something Sheldon's equations could never have accounted for. The Mule is unpredictable, but more importantly, he's something that Sheldon's equations didn't account for. Scientists, mathematicians hate this unpredictability and anomalies. The Mule disrupts everything. He conquers worlds not through force, but by undermining resistance from within. His existence challenges the very premise of psychohistory. What if one individual can reshape destiny? This is where Asimov's narrative gains psychological depth. The battle is not just external, but also internal as well. It's a war of ideas. Can science account for the irrational? Can a system be built on probability truly survive the presence of unpredictability? This is the questions that is posed in the second book. In the third book, that is titled Second Foundation, the story becomes even more complex. It's revealed that Sheldon created not one but two foundations, like an inception. The second is hidden, and its purpose is to ensure the original plan survives unexpected disruptions. As the Mule searches for them, and as others hunt the truth, we are left wondering, who's really in control? Can a plan still succeed if no one knows who's pulling the strings? It's a thrilling conclusion, full of twists and mind games. But more than that, it's a meditation on power, trust, and the complexity of human behavior. It may have been a conclusion of a series, but the Foundation became an inspiration and cornerstone to many more space-based epic sagas like Dune, Star Wars, Star Trek, the Commonwealth Saga, the Nightly Dawn trilogy, and many, many more. Almost all of the science fiction authors owe their inspirations partly to the Foundation novels. Science fiction now means outer space-based adventures, and this was made possible by one book, and that is The Foundation. Now, at this point, as a listener, you may ask, so what? So what if Asimov did all that in his books? So what if his book reimagined and redefined a genre to what it is now? So what if it has inspired many other novels and movie franchises? It is still only a book. Why should I still read a fiction novel? Now, here is where it really gets exciting. Asimov didn't just inspire writers, filmmakers, and artists. He inspired even real-life scientists and economists as well. Paul Krugman, who is a Nobel Memorial Prize winning economist, once said that Foundation is the reason he chose his career in economics. He had hoped economics might become a real-world version of psychohistory, which was so famously used in the Foundation books. Others are working on just that. There's a growing field called social physics, where researchers use data to model how societies behave. Some of them even call themselves the psychohistorians, inspired directly by Asimov. It's amazing to think that a work of fiction could have left that kind of an influence. But that's what great science fiction does. It doesn't just imagine new worlds, it reshapes our understanding of this one. Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy is more than just a series of books. It's a blueprint for thinking, a reflection on human progress, and a warning about what happens when we stop valuing knowledge. And by knowledge, I mean the true knowledge and not the created and the distorted ones that we all see on WhatsApps today. Asimov didn't just write stories filled with emotion or romantic drama, but he gave us something more lasting. Big questions about destiny, about control, about whether we can shape the future or whether the future shapes us. He gave us a story of collapse, true, but he also gave us a story of hope. A story that says, yes, the empire will fall, but something better can rise in its place. If we plan, if we learn, and if we act. So the next time you look up at the stars, think of this. The universe may be silent, but our imagination gives it a voice. Stories like Foundation remind us that even in the face of collapse, hope can be built, brick by brick, or rather, book by book. Thank you for joining me on this journey through space, science, and storytelling. Keep wondering, keep reading, and keep building your own foundation. Thank you.
You were listening to Anoop speaking about the book Foundation series by Isaac Asimov in the genre of science fiction. This is today's Voices from the Bookshelf. See you in the next episode.